Hello and welcome to another Teachable Thursday tip video. Today I am going to show you how you can use strips of your paper to make stamps that maybe don't fit in a regular punch, fit a little bit better. So we're going to use the Label Me Lovely, the jar punch, and I think this is called the Everyday Label one. So each of these, you can actually make them longer if you want to. So for this first one here, and I'll just show you how it can be done for all of them, but essentially it's really simple. You do have to make sure that you've counted or you've measured how wide this strip is and gotten your paper down exactly. So this one here is 1.5 inches. So what you do, you don't just put it in straight. What you do is you pull it out this way. And so if I had already pre-stamped my message, I would have lined it up and said, okay, well, I want it this long. But say, for example, I'm not sure. So I'm going to push it all the way through where there's only a little bit left. And now I could stamp my sentiment, and then I just do it with the opposite end. And so this way I can just do, let's put it all the way through. So what essentially I'm doing this way, I'm pulling it through this way. So then I essentially just figure out, okay, well, how wide do I need my sentiment to be? Let's make it, say, this big. And I just punch. And there you go. So now, instead of having a punch that is this big, which is the standard size, I can make it almost any length. I could make it extend almost the entire length of my card. I could have it as some kind of an add-on to another card, right? A lot of choices here. I wanted to show you that you could also do it with this punch, but not as easily because it comes through at a different angle, but you could also make it wider. So how you do this one, this one is 1 3/8, I believe, inches. So we're going to, let me see, I just wanted to make sure my math was right there. I believe, see, you just lay it down this way, punch, and now you just put this one in for as long as you want your jar to be. So if this would be useful if you're not using the punch or the stamp set that goes with it, because obviously the stamp set is set to a certain length. But say, for example, you just wanted it to be a little extra long, you could just do it that way, and boom. Also, if you wanted to do a wide mouth barrel, jar, you could do that too by just measuring how tall it is and having a piece that way. Let's see. Oh, this one's it's a little bit taller. Let's see if it is. I can cut down a piece really quickly. Let's measure it to be sure. Where's my ruler? There's my ruler. So it is, looks like 2 1/4 inches long. So let's go ahead, just cut a scrap of white, 2 1/4 inches. There we go. So how this would work in this case, it's the same process, but now you'll just go this way instead of a long, I was a little friendly here with my edge. So instead of a wide, a really tall jar, I would have a very wide jar. It's easier. Sometimes it's easier to like put it through and then pull it out that way. So I could pick like a really big one if I wanted to do, say, like a really big jar of flowers. And there we go. So it looks like this one I was off just a hair in my cutting. So you could just trim that down with your snips if you wanted to. So there I've made it longer. This one I've made wider. This I've made wider. You could do it the other way as well. I think it'd just be a little bit a harder thing to for this one, because you'd have to make it exactly this length. So it might not be quite as detailed. And then there's this one here. This one here is the Label Me Lovely. And so this one here is actually 2 1/16. So essentially it's 2 inches and then just a hair more from your paper trimmer. So you just do the same thing as your jar, and you essentially just pull it through. Oh, whoops, I did the wrong way. Good thing I caught myself. And then you do the same thing. You just kind of line it up. So let's say I want to make it that big. And what's really nice about doing these is that I could do it in white, and then I could do it slightly longer in a different color to add just a little trim on either side, which could lead to some really nice kind of like a little pop of color without it being too much. So that being said, let me see here. Here, let's use my Pierce mat so you can see it a little bit better. So here is the traditional size, and I've made this longer. Same thing here. Let me go ahead and put this through and punch out. Oh, this way. It's because I see it's trimmed down just enough where it makes holding onto it a little bit tough. I do recommend that if you do this, you can actually, let me show you an extra bonus tip. Let me see here if I've got, so I sometimes use, oh, here it is. Got my little Post-it notes. So this is a little Post-it note, nothing fancy, and just attach it to a side. The more surface area that it touches, obviously the stickier it'll be, but you just pass it through and line it up, and then it keeps catching a little bit here. There we go. Boom. And so that way you can do it without having to, and the best part is these stay sticky for a little bit, so I kind of keep it on my little pile there. So there's our original and longer, and that's just a different kind of layout. This one's wider. And then here is, well, I always punch that one in the original too. So let's see, I think this one's wide enough. Let's do the same thing again. Post-it note to the rescue. And so all you need to do, oh, this one's curling up a little bit. So all you need to do is line this up, and even if it punches through your Post-it note, it's totally fine. There we go. Boop. Because this piece comes right off because it's a Post-it note. So there's that one, and then obviously this removes all those little pieces so they don't get stuck in your piece of your punch. So there's that, and then obviously, like I said, this one I made it longer, and you can also make it wider. So I thought that was a really neat little trick that you may or may not know you can do. And so I thought, I would share that on this Thursday. So if you want to get your hands on any of these punches, I will link them below. And this is good for any punch that really has kind of at least something that's parallel to each other. And if there's any part of it that is parallel, meaning that they would be two lines that never meet. There's one I was thinking I may try to see if this one will do. This one I suspect would work, but it would only work to a certain extent. Like you wouldn't be able to make it as long as you'd like. You could only make it up to about double, and you'd have to line these up to make sure that they fit and they look good. So this one, the rectangular postage stamp punch would certainly work. This one would be one that you may not want to use as mass production kind of cards because it might take a little bit longer and more of a headache to make that work. So that was my example of a tip for you for today. All of these are really good examples of stamps that allow you to do that. There are others that you might be able to do. So for example, the tailored tag punch, that is a good one too. You could even use the little, oh, what's it called? Let me find it in my catalog. I have it. I don't think I've labeled it yet. It's the one that's like the little strip, the one for like a sentiment, like a little basic sentiment. Where is it? Oh, there you go. I'm at the punches. The classic label punch, that's the one. So the tailored tag punch, the label me fancy would be great. Timeless label, this is one I don't have yet, but I kind of like it. We'll see. Because I think this one would go really well with this one, like layered behind it. The story label punch might work, but again, you'd have to be really, really careful in either direction, because if you kind of wiggled your thing a little bit, that would be a little hard to do. So yeah, there's that. If any of these interest you, definitely get in touch because I'll be able to help you with those. Yep, fancy tag, I already, yep, so those were all of them. Yeah, so those would be the best ones to do that with. There are a couple of punches in our mini catalog that are an option. Let me pull that one up real quick. I don't think there are very many that would work well for this particular technique. The oval punch might. The lips and the heart might, but I don't think you'd really want to do that one. Yeah, so I think really the ovals would be the only one. The double oval punch might be the only one where that would work, and really that would only work for the a non-scalloped oval, just because the scalloped one I think would just not work great for continuing the scallop after you've opened it up. So anyway, so there's that. If you've got any questions or things that I can help you with, get in touch. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.